Absolutely. First, I'd like to say, Behi, is thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll tell you who I am. I'm in the UK. My background is in recruitment, HR, interviewing.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi Ewanfo, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
I now have my own company called Heart Writing Service, and I'm a career consultant. And what that means is I offer interview practice sessions, I write CVs, cover letters, LinkedIn, and I've written quite a few posts on LinkedIn as well. So my background is in HR, recruitment, interviewing.
That's interesting. I love that. Now, tell me a bit. Were you born in the UK or did you get there as an adult?
No, I was born in the UK. I was born in Nottingham, but I live in Birmingham.
All right. Tell me a bit about your growing up in UK. What do you remember of your childhood?
Growing up in the church, we were a church family. So went to church about 5 times a week, 3 times on a Sunday, Bible classes on a Monday, going to school, um, thick snow in the winter. Yeah, it's got a good childhood. We went to a good school as well, good education, because my parents were passionate about us having a really good education.
All right, that's interesting. Do you want to tell me a bit about your parents' background? Now, this is why I'm asking you this question.
Yes,
Because in this podcast, the Obehi podcast, we are actually centered around the African diaspora. This does not matter where you might find yourself, as long as you are connected to Africa, your story is important for us. And as you already know, as people of African diaspora, our story is very, very important. We need to tell it and retell it and retell it again for our own sake. So that is why I'm going to be asking you about your parents, and so that other people can connect better.
yeah,
So what do you like to share with me in relation to that?
yeah, because my parents were born in the Caribbean on an island called Saint Kitts. It's I don't know whether you've ever heard of this island. Not far from Antigua,
Mhm.
Barbados, islands like that. They came over. My mum was 17, and my dad was in his 20s. My mum became a nurse over here, and my dad did various jobs.
So, of course, you were born in the UK. Now you grew up there. You have been among the diaspora, the community that we're actually looking into in this podcast. So that is great. And you have got a lot of experience also growing up in the UK. So now we're moving into HR, into what you are doing today. Do you want to tell me how you got into HR?
What I do now, my job role is a career consultant. It is my own company, and I want to help people find jobs, especially during lockdown and a lot of companies laying people off. And also, you've got people who've been in the same job for 10, 20 years where they've never had to have a CV and they don't know where to start. So they copy something from the internet and they keep using the same CV and apply for hundreds of jobs and get nowhere. I want to help people who are applying for hundreds of jobs and not getting an interview. I also want to help people who have got a good resume and getting to the interview stage, but they have no idea how to conduct themselves in an interview. Although they have no idea what the hiring manager is looking for. So that's where I come in. So I deal with two kinds of people: the ones who are not getting the interview, and the ones who are getting the interview but not getting the job.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, what does it actually mean, career consulting? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, career consulting can encompass anything. For example, if you're getting interviews, but you're in a job and you want to move up in that job, I can help you with your career. So I might help you with presentations, doing interview, how to conduct interviews. I might teach you. If you say to me, "I've got to interview people," I can teach you how to conduct an interview. So when I say career consultant, it means CV writing. You say resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile writing, any kind of writing to do with your career. It might be an application. And then, of course, it comes to the interviews. You might just need one interview, but I do a consultation interview and I look at your current, how you're conducting yourself at interviews, and then I create a plan around how to improve your interview skills. So that includes practice sessions, me asking you interview questions, tell me why you want the job. I listen to how you answer the question. Because what a lot of people don't do about it is they don't look at the job interview or the application from the point of view from the hiring manager. For example, if I'm hiring a driver for, just say, taxi driver, I want to hear that you've got a driving license, that you've been driving for 10 years, that you've got really good geography, you know the area really well. I want you to tick my boxes, the criteria that I'm looking for. So I want you to tell me, as the hiring manager, why I should hire you.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much for that. In fact, I was sort of ruminating on that in my mind as to what do employer actually look for when they take up a resume to examine to say, okay, because I want to believe now that you are looking at a typical East company who have a lot of resume coming to them, whether in digital format or in print. I want to believe that they don't call all of them at the end of the day for interview. If that is the case, what do they actually look at in a resume to sort of even qualify you to be called upon for interview?
I do understand it's a really, really good question, Obehi. So what I'm looking for is I've got a list in front of me of the skills, knowledge, and experience that I'm looking for. So, if, for example, I'm going to use the example of a maths teacher for a primary school. So, in front of me, I'm going to have degree, teaching experience, um, anything to do with the subject. So, uh, I'm going to ask you a question. So, how long have you been a teacher? If you say 2 months, I might not be interested in someone who's only been doing the job for 2 months because the job advert said 5 years, minimum 5 years experience. So it's bad when anyone applies for a role, look at the job description and look at the job advertisement, highlight what they're looking for. And if you've got what they're looking for, that's when you can apply. These are the steps you should take before you apply for a job. You look to see whether you've got the skills, knowledge, and experience that they are looking for. If you have, you're very likely to be asked to interview.
Now, you are being called upon, that be selected through the kind of accompanying internal scrutiny procedure, and you are finally selected for the interview. How are you supposed to comport yourself? Of course, after this, we'll move into the resume itself.
Yes,
I'm trying to understand how are you supposed to comport yourself in front of the hiring manager so that, okay, because, okay, now we are looking at the kind of message that you are sending with your body, with who you are, with your embodiment before you start talking.
okay.
So help me with that.
Okay, well, the first thing I look for is whether the candidate has got manners. So I expect them to shake hands with me, um, greet me, and during the interview refer to me by name. And do not sit down until you're told to sit down. That's really important. The way you dress is very important. You dress smartly. Do not wear too much aftershave, too much perfume, because that is what the hiring manager is focusing on, the smell. I know that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But have you ever met somebody and they've got lots of perfume on or lots of aftershave on, and you can't focus on what they're saying because All you're focusing on is the smile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it make a lot of sense. That's kind of a double-edged sword, no? That when people hear now that they need to dress smart, and they might be thinking, okay, I need to really look smart. Maybe by being smart, me, I need to have a lot of perfume shining. If you're a woman, your hair, all those funny things that people do think of. So I want you to spend some time there. What are the limits that people should put on themselves in terms of dressing smart? Because this is a very important part now.
Absolutely, Obehi. Now let's talk about a man, right? I want to see a man with a suit on or shirt and tie because that tells me that they want to make a good impression. The shoes, most important, shiny, clean, hands, fingernails, shiny, clean, hair, short cut, looking clean. Because that is a professional image. You can wear a little bit of aftershave, but not too much. Never a short skirt. Covering up, I don't want to see the bust area. Wear a dress and a jacket or a dress. You can wear a trouser suit if it looks smart. But don't coming into interview with bright colours throwing at me, like bright yellows mixed with red, professional colours, burgundy, black, blue. So I'm not just looking at you the colour of what you're wearing. It's about first impression. What I also tell people to do is before they go for an interview, a few days before, establish what they're going to wear. Get someone to take a photo. Ask someone, how do I look? Look at the photo, look at yourself. How do I look? Instead of on the morning of the interview just going in the wardrobe and selecting anything, it's all about preparation. So you're right about you must plan how you want to be perceived. It's like you're going on a date with a hiring manager, but it's not an actual date. So it's like if you were to go on a date today, you want to make a first good impression, don't you? Yes, you want to make a first impression. So I say to people, it's like going on a date. First date, what you're going to wear. You want the person to be impressed with how you look. So what are you going to wear? Think of your interview as almost a date, except you're going to dress professionally and not bright colours, smart black, blues, browns.
Now, of all these different things that you have made mention of, which of them would you say is absolutely a deal breaker for an interviewee? He is going to an interview, a job interview, of course.
Yeah, if your shoes are dirty, for example, or for a woman if her title got holes in, if you show me you've made no effort whatsoever in your appearance for the interview, you'll be marked down. You'll be remembered as someone who doesn't dress smart. Because if the company is a big professional company, they want they want you to look professional. A good idea is to go on their website, and if they've got photos on their website or photos on Google, have a look to see how the people are dressed there.
Mhm. All right, yeah, that's interesting. Now, let's talk about the resume because now, before they invite you to come to the office to speak about yourself, you would have already communicated to them in the terms of you have already sent your resume to them. I want us to spend some time here. Um, let's start from what is not supposed to be there. What do you think are those elements that are not supposed to be there in a resume in order for you to be selected as the people that will be interviewed?
Number one, your photograph. The amount of people who put a photograph on a resume, most companies will reject a resume with a photograph on. You want to know why?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because it looks like the person is trying to use their looks to entice the hiring manager to get them to interview. Also, if they're not very attractive, that could stop them getting an interview. Yes, the hiring manager can go onto LinkedIn and see your photograph, but if you're putting your photograph on your resume, it's likely to get rejected.
You mean any type of photograph or there are
Any
certain
type
type?
of photograph, if they want to know what you look like, they can go onto your LinkedIn. I've seen resumes when as a hiring manager of girls in bikinis on the beach. A girl or a man sitting on a beach with just shorts on. Do you see what they're trying to do here? They're saying, look at me, I've got a wonderful body, choose me for interview. You only put a photograph on a resume if you're going for a modeling or acting job. Photos shouldn't be on there. And have you ever seen objective statements on CVs where it says, I'm looking for a job where I can use my experience in a university or my, an objective statement. Do not put that on there. A hiring manager does not care what you want. You're wasting space on a CV by writing an objective statement. Have you ever seen those, Obehi? It says, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a job where I can develop my skills. No, it's not. This CV is not about you. It's about what the hiring manager is looking for. So just three more things of what you should not put on a resume. References. Have you seen these, Obehi, where it says references available on request, or it lists the name, address, and title of your references? That is a waste of space. If, as a hiring manager, you're selected for interview and you do get the job, that is when I'm going to ask you for a reference. Because you know how I'd look at it? You're wasting space, really. You've got nothing else to say about yourself. You've got 2 pages to impress me, and you waste half a page by listing your references when you should be selling your skills. Personal details, your date of birth, what religion you are. These are things that are not important. If you get the job, I'll ask you your date of birth, but didn't ask your date of birth. I asked you to send me a resume telling me how your skills match what I'm looking for. Finally, the full address. You don't need to put your full address. For example, I'm in Birmingham, England, so I put Birmingham, UK or West Midlands, UK. If they want to contact you, they've got your email address. And if you get the job, then they'll ask for your full address. It's to do with data protection as well, because someone could steal your details and use them to get a credit card, for example, because you put everything on a CV, your date of birth, your religion, whether you're married, how many children you've got. Do you think, Obehi, as a hiring manager, if I was interviewing you, do you think I care whether you're married? Because what they're doing, Obehi, is that they're going onto the internet, onto Google, and they're typing in resume templates, and everyone you see will have photographs on, so they're copying that, not realizing that it's going to get rejected.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Mhm.
So now, when people are looking for sample of what a resume should be, they go online and whatever they get there, they use that as a kind of a template for what they are writing. Not because they are looking for, not because that is a professional resume writer that is teaching them. That's what you are saying, right?
Yes, they're just
Mm-hmm.
copying what they're seeing. But
Mm-hmm.
everyone is unique. Your resume is like a fingerprint. It's unique to you. You could have 2 people who are teachers, but they've got different skill sets, they've got different degrees, they've got different years experience. Does that make sense? So by copying something you see on the internet, they also know when it's been copied anyway. A hiring manager will know, because if you think about it, we see thousands of CVs over the years, and we see things like says, I'm a trustworthy and reliable person. I'm open-minded and I go to church every Sunday.
Now, let's talk about what should actually be in a resume or what you would define as a good resume. Could you tell us something about that?
Absolutely. At the top, I want to see your contact details, but not in the header. You do not put your contact details in the resume. Sorry, in the header, because if it's a very big company that you're going to work for, they're going to put your resume through something called an application tracking software. Are you familiar with that?
Personally, I'm not.
Okay, we can talk about that afterwards. I'm going to answer your question. What a good resume looks like. So it's going to have your full name, your email address, one contact number, and your LinkedIn profile. So that's the top, yes? Then I want to see, the first thing I want to see on there then is your professional summary. Your professional summary talks about you. I can give you, for example, right, if you're applying for a job as an engineer, okay, the professional summary should talk about that. Okay, I'll give you an example of a professional summary. A senior executive with over 20 years of project, program, and portfolio management experience. So, this job this person is going for is for a project manager. So, in the first sentence, I'm telling the hiring manager, I've got many years' experience as a project manager. Does that make sense? Other ones you could look at. So, it's a professional summary is really, really important.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Now, have you encountered some people who do not know how to write a resume?
Yeah.
So maybe, for example, you want to talk to these people. Where should they start from instead of maybe going online to copy those templates that you say are not correct?
Yes. Okay. They could, if you could send a link to my LinkedIn profile, I've got lots of posts on there. I can also do a CV review, a resume review. Send me the CV. I'll have a look and tell you what you need to put on there, what's missing. So you can write it yourself. So we've talked about the contact details at the top, and you've got your name, your address, your telephone number, your LinkedIn profile, your email address. Under that, I want to see your job title. So if you're a sales manager going for a sales manager role, under your contact details, write in big letters, font size 15, sales manager, or if you're a teacher or you're an engineer, you write the title of the job you're going for if you have done that job. If you have not done that job, do not put that there. What you can put instead are 4 skills along a line. For example, if you're going for a director of sales and marketing, you might put training and development, revenue maximization, program leadership. You're picking out words from the job description that you have or from the advert. Another example of a professional summary for somebody in sales, if you've achieved awards, you can write top performing sales and marketing director with over 10 years of experience leading sales to meet revenue budget. So you're saying in that first sentence who you are, because that first sentence will make the hiring manager want to read more. Adding on the second line could be impactful in generating new leads, prospecting for new business, scheduling meetings, and increasing account revenue, because the job has said we're looking for a salesperson to increase our revenue. So you're saying it in the first quarter of your CV. Now, under the professional summary should be a section called skills. Under there should be the skills related to the job you're going for. Just choose a job, Obehi. Choose any job, and I'll tell you what skills should go there. Any job.
All right. Let's say a manager for a Coca-Cola branch in London, for
A
example.
manager for
A Coca-Cola company in London branch.
manager, Coca-Cola Company London branch. Okay, so you've got, if you're a manager, you've got people management, leadership, risk management, training, mentoring. Do you see everything to do with people management? You put the skills for that role, and that should be in the other what they're looking for. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
So
It
whatever
does.
job you're looking for, it's the skills associated with that role. If you're a manager for a Coca-Cola company, you're going to have time management skills. So you add that. You're going to have planning, organization, stakeholder management. These are all, you write all the skills associated with the role that you're applying for that you have. Do you want to give me another job and I'll talk about the skills?
All right. Say a sales manager in in an advertising company, for
Okay,
example?
sales manager in an advertising company. So it would be, the skills are sales, management, advertising, social media. You must have social data analysis, because when you're sales and marketing, you have to analyze data.
Hmm.
Yes. Again, time management. If you've managed people before, you put team leadership, time management, planning, organization, and also you've got to put your technical skills in. Microsoft Office, you can use Outlook, you can use Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You're showing your skills there. So for any job you tell me, I know what skills that I'm looking for that's associated with that role.
Now, what would be your final message to terminate the conversation? It can be a message or a reflection or maybe a line you want to reinforce in the conversation.
Prepare, always prepare for your application by looking at the job description, the advert, go on to Google, research the company you're going to apply for, because during the interview, they will ask you, why do you want to work for us? So you need to be able to know about the company. Also, they could ask you, what do you know about us? And if you say nothing, you've lost the interview, because you want to, okay, Obehi, if you want to work for Heart Writing Services, that's my company, and I say to you, Obehi, you want to work as a consultant for Heart Writing Services, and you say, yes, I do, Constance, I do. And the other thing I want to add on to that is, whatever company you're applying for and you've got an interview for, research them on Wikipedia, research them on LinkedIn, because if you tell them something that they don't know, because when you work for a company, you don't necessarily know everything about it. Do you agree with that? So if you were to go on Wikipedia and find out, or the company was formed in 1847, I had a client and he was going for a job working at an auctioneer house. So we were doing the career interviewing thing, and I did the research. I said, "You do some research, and I do some research." And I said to him, "This is what I want you to say in the interview. You tell them when the company was formed, how many employees they've got, and you tell them that they once sold a diamond for £5 million. Tell them something that proves that you really researched the company." Also, another one, Obehi, if you get the name of the person who's going to interview you, look them up on LinkedIn, find out about their career, find out about them. If someone said to me, if you were I was interviewing you and I'm asking you what you know about the company, you can say, well, Constance, I looked you up on LinkedIn and I know that you've got over 20 years experience writing CV. If you start to tell me about me as well as the company, that shows how much research you've done, and that puts you ahead of your competition, because not many people do that. They fall down in the interview when you say to them, why do you want to work here? What do you know about the company? If it's Coca-Cola, sales manager for Coca-Cola, and you say, well, I know you sell Coke, but everyone knows that, don't they? So that's not going to be helpful at all. So if you were to say, well, Coca-Cola was founded in 1823 by Tom Sullivan, you give the name of the person, you give information that shows that you've done the research, they're going to be impressed with you. So far, you've gone into the interview looking really smart. You've asked whether it's okay to shake their hand, because some people are funny about that in spoken. Is it okay to shake your hand, or would you want to touch elbows? They might say, no, it's okay. And you don't sit down until you're told to sit down. So straight away, you form a professional impression. You're dressed smart. Then you're going to talk. They're going to see you've got a really good resume. That's why you've been called into an interview, because your resume is perfect. No one gets called in for an interview with a bad CV. So all you've got to do in that interview is impress them, because you've passed the CV and you look good. All you've got to do is know why you want the job and what you can offer that company. Let's talk about the sales manager role. So I'm advertising for a sales manager role, and you come into the interview and you say, why should we offer you the job? Just say, well, I have increased sales by 5 million in 2020 and 4 million in 2019, and I'm on track to achieve 10 million pounds worth of sales this year. Are you impressed with what I've just said?
Absolutely. If I'm the manager of that company, I'm the one hiring, I certainly would be interested.
Yes. So what people do, Obehi, when they go for an interview, they start describing their job role, telling me what I already know. I know what a salesman does. Don't tell me what you do. Tell me what you have done. Impress me. Tell me about the sales you've made, the changes you've made that benefited the company. Tell me how many customers you've brought to the company in the last 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. Tell me all of that. Tell me how you've done it.
Thank you so much, Constance. I really appreciate the conversation. I think people find a lot of value in what you said.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to pass on my skills, knowledge, and experience because I see so many people wasting time sending off the same rubbish CV with their photo on and all their details, and they're applying for hundreds of jobs and not getting contacted, and they don't understand why. But if they understand the Behi, what should not be on the CV, what should be on the CV is your achievements. Have we got time to talk about achievements? On your CV, you should write your achievements. That's really important because that gets you ahead of the competition. Because when a hiring manager, when I see, oh, this person is an achiever, he's achieved a degree, he's achieved a Customer of the Year award, he has brought in sales, brought in new customers, increased customer service, the brand image of the company. Your past experience is an indicator of your future experience. So when I see how good you are on paper, Behi, I want you to work for me because you've got in sales for other companies. You are really good, so I want you. So CVs without achievements on, might as well rip it up and throw it away. A resume with achievements on, and then when you get to the interview, you can talk about your achievements. Last year, I brought in 500 new customers, and with 500 new customers, that gave a revenue of 20 million. Talk about what you've done.
So thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation. I believe that the people have gained a lot of value from it. All right, our viewer, that is where we end the conversation today with Constance Johnson.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you so much for thinking of me and inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening and talk to you in the next episode.